Germany is famous for being super organized, and that also includes regulations for insurance. If you've just moved here, or you have been here for a while, or you are planning to move to Germany, you've already noticed, right, that there is insurance in Germany for everything, be it car, health, legal issues, the content of your home. You can even insure things in your home. But before you fret and panic, not all of them are mandatory. So by the end of this video, you will know which of the insurances are mandatory that you need to have, which ones are nice to have, how to go about it, where to turn to, and how to sift through to know what kind of insurance fits your lifestyle. So Schatzilein, let's get ready. And we'll also take a deep dive into the legal insurance, not only because of my work field, but also because I've actually gotten questions from some of my friends and also some of you, Schatzilein, about what do I need the legal insurance? What do I need to do when I want to go see a lawyer and all of that? Yes, we'll talk about it. First of all, why do you need insurance in Germany? In Germany, certain insurances are mandatory for you, and the concept is very simple. We all pay a little bit so that when life goes sideways, we can take that money that we paid to, succor ourselves, to help ourselves out of the ditch. This is why there are insurance, and as I already said, some are mandatory, some are not. Now, there are five. I'll list the five main mandatory insurances, and even these five depends on your life circumstances, because insurance is for life situations. So as these life situations get activated in your life, that is when you need that insurance. But one that doesn't matter whether you are old or young is healthcare. Krankenversicherung. Everyone needs to have healthcare insurance. It is your Pflicht, that's why it's called a Pflichtversicherung. It is a mandatory insurance. Now, in Germany, there are two types of health insurance. There is the gesetzliche, the statutory, the public healthcare insurance, and then there is the private. Now, everyone automatically falls into this one, okay? And about 90% of the populace has this one, the statutory or gesetzliche Krankenversicherung. The other 10% are in the private Krankenversicherung. And the healthcare insurance, the statutory one, covers everything from medication to surgeries and all of that. It is only when you have to pay the Zusatz, okay? That is like €5 or €10 depending on the kind of medication, but usually most of the healthcare costs are covered. What you'd have to pay on top is between €5 and €10. And of course, if you're doing something like physiotherapy, ergotherapy, per each treatment, per each session that you go, you have to pay a certain amount. And by the time you're done, you had the 10 sessions, then you're paying something between 80 and €100 for all of the sessions put together. So you have to look into which of the healthcare insurance companies that you want to go to and what do they offer, okay? That's that. You already know that I'm a big fan of Feather Insurance because they also cover expats and also give expats, especially freelance expats, good options when it comes to how they want to get insured in Germany, especially when it comes to healthcare. Now, private health insurance, as I said, is about 10% of the populace that have private health insurance. Private health insurance is not only bound to your health and your age. So the older you get, the harder it gets for you to join the private health insurance. But first of all, you have to make sure that your income is speaking the language of the private health insurance. So this is the minimum that you have to make. So once you cross this threshold, you could be eligible. The health insurance provider would also give you other conditions that you might have to meet, being maybe you don't have any underlying chronic sicknesses or diseases. What kind of person are you? Are you active? Do you have any kind of implants? these are the kind of questions that they want to know if you are someone who is prone to getting sick. Yeah, and then they'll actually decide on whether they will take you on or not. Usually people that like to be on the private health insurance are the civil servants. They have different rates, they have different contracts requirements or contract conditions. So these are the two main options that you have when you are in Germany for healthcare insurance. And as I said earlier, it actually comprises all types of healthcare services. What you would have to pay on top is usually less. Now let's talk about how much does it cost. The percentage of the health insurance that is taken from your pay is 14.6%. So 14.6, and depending on which healthcare or health insurance provider that you are with, they can also add 2.5 to that. So that is that. And sometimes your health insurance providers would not even charge you on top if you have kids and all of that. That is the perks of having the statutory or the public health insurance. But if you have a private, it could be a different story, that each child will be charged extra, okay, on top of the parents own, or maybe the more kids you have, the cheaper it gets. You would have to look into that. As I said, contact the health insurance provider of your choice and have them explain things to you, but for you to have an idea of what this actually entails. So public health insurance covers the essentials, as I said, from doctor's visits, medications, surgeries, other types of healthcare services that you need. And private also does the same thing, but be careful, Schatzilein. Private health insurance can get more expensive. I already gave you the example with children. The next mandatory one is the pension insurance, Rentenversicherung. It goes straight to Deutsche Rentenversicherung, so that's for you to know. You remember one of my previous videos, I talked about the debate that is ongoing about how much pension someone is going to get in their old age. Yes, so it's time for you to start looking at that. Of course, you're at liberty to also add different types of pension insurance or pension plans that you want to have for your future. You can also put that, do that on the side. So you have the mandatory one that goes to Deutsche Rentenversicherung, and then you can also add on as you go, okay? They deduct 18.6% of your income for the pension as well. So almost 20% of your income is going into your pension funds. The next one that is mandatory is the unemployment insurance, Arbeitslosenversicherung. This is also taken from source, and as the name says, if you are supposed to lose your job tomorrow, that money that you paid into the Arbeitslosenversicherung is supposed to carry you through, and that is the Arbeitslosengeld 1 or Arbeitslosengeld 2. Another insurance that a lot of us forget sometimes because the percentage looks so small is the Pflegeversicherung. So Pflegeversicherung is like the long-term care insurance. So if you should go to the care home in your old age, or you should need someone coming to your home to take care of you in your old age, then this is what you're paying towards. So it's not too much on your children later. This is also another type of insurance that is also deducted from source. Now this one is probably the only one that you would have to actively look for, and that is where I would say further insurance is also a good option for you, is the car liability insurance, KFZ-Haftpflichtversicherung. Yes, it is longer. It's even longer if you pronounce KFZ, Kraftfahrzeughaftpflichtversicherung. Whew. So if you are a car owner, you would have to get the insurance, the liability insurance for your car. Ohne Kfz-Haftpflichtversicherung gehört dein Auto nicht auf die Straße. If you don't have this Kfz-Haftpflichtversicherung, no driving for you. Keep your car in your garage. Don't go out on the streets, okay? And how does this work? So there are different factors. They would ask things like, have you had any accidents in your past? Like in the past, are you a new driver? Where do you park your car? Is your car in a garage? Or you don't have a garage? Is your car outside? These are some of the questions that will be asked. And not just that, they would also want to know where you live, the kind of person you are. Are you a student? Are you an employee? Do you own your own business? Yeah. Third casco is basically less coverage, and fourth casco is full coverage, and that can even cover your own car as well. So you have to look into what options the insurance provider is giving you. Look into it, third casco or fourth casco, but basically, Schatzilein, you even need the insurance certificate before you can register your car, okay? So no insurance, no car. Yep. So these are the 5 main mandatory insurances that you need to have. As I said, the last one, the car insurance, only if you have a car. But yeah, those are the 5 main ones that are mandatory in Germany. Now let's come to the nice to have insurances. Personal liability insurance. You took your friend's phone, it fell and the screen cracked. You don't want to pay out of pocket. You don't want your friend to chase you for the money as well. You just have to let the insurance take care of it. You take your friend's data, you send it to your insurance, you tell them what happened, they take care of it, okay? And the good thing about Haftpflichtversicherung is that it's not expensive, okay? It's quite affordable. It's somewhere around, if the younger you are, even I think the cheaper it gets. And if you are married or you're in a partnership, you can even get like 2 for 1. So it's optional, but I'll say it's a must-have because anything can happen, okay? And if it's just a few bucks, like maybe if you actually break it down, it's maybe 3 to 4 euros a month, then please do it for your sake, like for your mental health and for you to know that nothing bad can happen, you know? So I would recommend that actually. The next one is the household content insurance, also Hautratversicherung. It's also nice to have. I remember a friend of mine's house has been flooded because her neighbor thought they would want to do things with pipes, as in DIY, and they flooded the apartment from the top. So something like that, you have the Hautratversicherung, it helps, even though they would have to pay something, but you know, two is better than 1, you know. So yeah, that is something you can do. So your furniture, things that you have in your home, yeah, it's more for the objects in your home and not for people, Hausrat, okay? The next optional one, disability insurance. Disability insurance, Berufsunfähigkeitsversicherung. I would recommend that you do that as early as possible because I always say that human beings, our bodies are machines, and the older we get, the more prone we become to, you know, not being able to work. It can happen through an accident, it can happen through sickness, anything can happen, God forbid, but anything can happen. So an insurance that can protect you from that is definitely a plus. So look into that as well. Because Schatzilein, just because you can't work doesn't mean the bills are going to stop coming. Like, the bills don't stop just because you stopped working. So please look into that as well. I'm not saying because I'm recommending further insurance you should do everything that I'm talking about, but some of these things I'm talking about, I have the Berufsunfähigkeit, I have the liability insurance. The only thing I do not have is Hausrat. But Hausrat I'm thinking about because my friend's apartment got flooded. All right, now let's talk about one insurance that confuses a lot of people. Rechtsschutzversicherung, legal insurance. Now, in Germany, legal disputes, small disputes, when it comes to your employer not, you know, giving you the pay raise that you wanted, or them unfairly terminating your contract, or your landlord trying to get you out of the apartment, or not giving you back your caution when it's time for them to, or even other regular private law situations, some contract that you've signed that, you know, you're being treated unfairly or it's being breached. Yes, these legal processes or these legal disputes when they come to court, or even just between the lawyers without going to court, can cost you a few hundreds to even a few thousands of euros depending on what is at hand. And this is why legal insurance is actually recommendable. So when you have a legal insurance, you can defend yourself, fight for your rights without worrying about going broke, okay? And for us to understand how legal insurance works, I'm going to use Feather, our sponsor, as a case study. You already know that Feather is your one-stop shop for all types of insurances, be it mandatory and the optional ones, okay? Now, let's talk about what does the legal insurance cover, what types of legal areas does the legal insurance cover? So we have the private law, we have the employment law, we have the traffic law, we have the rental law, and then we also have the criminal protection. Okay, so the private law, as I said earlier, any type of contracts that you may have, even claims against your insurance themselves. And then we have the employment law or employment area, or what has to do with your employment, your employer, labor law. And then we also have the traffic law. So the traffic laws is what usually comes to play when you're involved in an accident, when you have a fine or something like that. And then the tenants law, the tenancy law with your landlord also can be covered. And then when it comes to the criminal protection, that one is quite dicey, but usually some of the negligent claims that could also have criminal law repercussions, or to crimes like theft, embezzlement, fraud, these ones can also be covered by the Rechtsversicherung. Of course, only if you are not found guilty. This is usually what the insurance companies would want to see. Okay, so before we talk about how they cover them, let's talk about how much it costs. So the legal insurance is usually done in some kind of module or options. Okay, so you can choose the modules that are relevant to you in your lifestyle, and then you can also leave the options that are not relevant to you. And it usually costs between 20 and 40 euros per month. Now, the good thing about Feather is that the basic options or the basic package for legal insurance already covers private law aspects. It covers the employment law as well, and also covers the traffic law as well. These three are the ones covered by Feather. And then when it comes to the tenants, as in the landlord dispute and the criminal ones, criminal protection, you can use those as add-ons. So you can add those as add-ons. And as I said, usually the insurance costs 20 to 40 euros a month, but with Feather you can even pay as low as 13 euros and 50 something cents per month. It depends on the state you are in. The current example that we are using is from Berlin. Okay, so we are using Berlin as a case study city, so that's why it's 20 something. But depending on the state or the region, the federal states that you are in, your city, it can even be cheaper. As I said, the lowest starts from 13 euros and 51 cents. So please look into it and see what applies to you. Okay, so that is that. This is how much it costs. So for example, this is what the Feather does. Basic package has already these three in it, and then you can add the add-ons. What does the insurance usually cover? So the insurance would cover the legal hotline. So the legal hotline is what I would so what I am terming as the legal hotline is you calling your insurance and asking them that you want to speak to someone, a lawyer or a legal expert, to explain things to you, as in your situation. What does it mean? Do I have to go to court? What can I do? This is what I'm calling the legal hotline, and Feather offers that as well, right? And then the insurance would also cover legal costs after they have told you you can go to court, or if you want to go to court. Yeah, so the legal costs, so the court fees, the lawyer fees, and also the Sachverständige. Sachverständige is the expert that the court would call on to explain the situation for them, or to give their understanding, their expert opinion on the situation, and you'd have to pay for that. And expert opinions can cost a few thousand, so it is good if you have an insurance that covers that as well. The good thing about Feather is they do that. And then when it comes to this legal hotline that I just mentioned, the legal explanations and your first encounter, your first consultation with the Feather lawyers is going to be in English. So that is also a plus. I know I always say that learn German, but if you are still in the process of learning German, you haven't attained that level of German to understand legal things, and you have an insurance that is giving you all that, I think that is a good deal. Okay, very good deal, in fact. Now that is that. So what happens when you actually want to submit a claim? Now, the insurers usually would ask you to pay a deductible, but in German they will say Selbstbehalt, of between 150 and 300 euros. Now, when it comes to Feather, as I said, Feather is credible, Feather is transparent, as they show you how you choose your model, or the options is how you're going to pay. And when it comes to the deductible as well, if you contact Feather before hiring a lawyer, it's 150 euros. Yes, that's a deductible. But if you hire the lawyer and then submit the claim, it becomes 300. So I would say that before you hire the lawyer, let's further know that that's what you want to do. Maybe it would already be clarified with the first, legal hotline call, and they would clarify things for you so you know what to do or how to go about it. But if you still want to press charges or continue with the lawyer's services, then it's 150 euros. Okay, that is that. Now, when does your insurance start? When does the insurance protection, legal insurance protection start? So usually the insurance or the insurers would have 3 to 6 months of waiting time. When it comes to further, it depends on which module or which option you chose and what we are talking about. So you have to check, for example, if I take the landlord protection, how much time do I have to wait? 3 to 6 months. If I take maybe a regular private legal issue, how much does I take? Do I have to wait for it to start working? 3 months. Yeah, so this is how you have to know, you have to check to know, when does my protection start? Because all insurances are not going to get into the case when you're already in the midst of the case or in the midst of the trial. So if you already started the court case, they are not going to get involved. Okay, if the case has already started, already in the hands of lawyers, they are not going to get involved. So you have to check which of these policies your insurer is, has laid out for your insurance contract, right? So basically, the general rule is the insurer does not interfere or help when the case is already ongoing. Another thing that the insurance usually do not cover is when you are the one at fault. Yes, especially in criminal proceedings. So if you are found guilty, they will not cover it. I would also advise that before you sign your contract or before you sign onto this legal insurance with your insurer, find out which areas or which legal areas do they not offer at all. So for example, FEDER does not give protection when it comes to immigration law or immigration legal cases, right? But they would cover inheritance or marriage, divorce and all that. But some insurance would not do the marriage and divorce and inheritance law as well. So please know which options are applicable to your life, which options are vital to your lifestyle before you sign on for that insurance. So having a legal insurance or a Rechtsschutzversicherung is not going to make you a lawyer overnight, but it would help you greatly when you want to fight for your rights, all right? Yes. And yes, we have special situations, students, we have parents, freelancers, pet owners. Yes, these are also different optional things that you would have to look into if you fall into this circumstance. If you have a pet, some dogs also require you to have insurances and even pay taxes. And if you're a homeowner, you have to look into Wohngebäudeversicherung. So, and that is for the home that you are in, okay? Or not the home that you're in, but just your building, okay? That is Wohngebäudeversicherung. So, Schatzilein, let's recap. There are the mandatory insurances that keep the country running, the society running, and then there are the optional ones that keep you safe, okay? This is the overview of the types of insurances in Germany. And don't think of insurance as a boring bill, as something that's you shouldn't be interested in. I'll say that take your time to look at your insurances, which ones are, as Germans would say, doppelt gemoppelt, which ones are too much, and which ones are the ones that you actually need to invest in. So insurance is not a boring bill, it's peace of mind, okay? And it's something that you have to invest in for your own safety as well. And so if this video helped you to understand the insurance systems or the insurance systems and types in Germany, then please do give it a thumbs up and let me know that in the comment section as well. And thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate your support. So give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not yet subscribed, become a Schatzilein as well. And of course, share it to another Schatzilein or another person who just moved to Germany and needs to see this as well. So see you next time, Schatzilein. Tschüss.